And welcome back. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for participating in our little AI quiz. All right, next up, we've got a panel. We are on the home stretch, folks. You've been here. I saw Shabina say staying 3 hours isn't a joke. I thought it should be okay. So, we have just about less than an hour left together. We're going to hang out on this panel. We've got a totally awesome couple panelists that are joining me on stage here in a second. And we're going to be talking about how AI won't fix a broken funnel, what agencies must get right first. Our first panelist is Managing Director of J Marketing, a marketing agency built around consumer psychology and influence-driven digital strategy. Let's go ahead and welcome Josh Strofchinsky to the stage. Josh, good to have you here, man.
Great to be here with you guys.
All right. Now, I know it's Canada Day for where you're at, so thank you for carving this out to hang out with us. I know you got some baseball that you want to get to. So, folks, you want to take advantage of this time while we have Josh here. So we're going to be asking you here some questions in just a moment. So let's give Josh a warm agency advantage. Welcome in chat or emojis. Just smash those emojis. Get them going, team. Would love to see those. Our next panelist, he is founder of Web Marima, a digital agency based in Italy offering web development, SEO, and data intelligence. We're going to welcome Giulio Detti from Web Marima to the stage.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, let's give Giulio a nice, warm agency advantage round of applause and a warm welcome. All right, folks. If you have questions as we're going through this, just throw them into chat. I'm not going to be jumping back to Q&A in chat. So put them in chat if you have questions as we go through this. But I've got a bunch of questions. We're just going to dive right in. So we're talking today, guys, about how AI won't fix a broken funnel. So this first question, we're just going to open up to the floor. Everyone's talking about AI. What's one thing businesses should focus on before they even think about implementing AI? Who wants to jump in on this one first?
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Josh, let's do it, man.
So I'm going to be talking through the lens of advertising. And the thing that's really important is making sure that you are already selling effectively to your customers. Because if you're leaving money on the table right now, what AI is going to do is amplify what's broken. That's a huge learning for a lot of people. If your ads are attracting the wrong people, AI finds more of the wrong people. And we see the ad networks are all moving towards black boxes where you put your ads in and you hope for the best. If your landing pages are confusing people, AI will send more traffic into that confusion. If your creative is generating clicks but not qualified inquiries, AI is going to make the vanity metrics look awesome, but the commercial results are going to get worse. And we're seeing this in every corner of the market right now. So before you go all in on AI, there's a couple of things to look at. The first one is when you're running your ads, are you sure that they are going to highly qualified people? If they're not, then there's some simple tests you can do. Just one, because I know we're on a limited amount of time here, is look at your analytics. If your time on site is sub 2 seconds from a certain subset of your advertising, it's fat fingers, not real customers. And when they come through to the landing page, if you're certain they're the right people, are they turning into inquiry? Particularly, I'm talking to your B2B owners or your people that operate in complex inquiries. If they're not, well, do you really want to put more money into advertising? Do you really think AI is just going to solve it overnight? Because it is only as good as the inputs you give it. So to summarize that whole answer, what's the first thing to do? Look at that funnel. Make sure you can sell it. Better if you can sell it without using the internet at all, because if you can't, you cannot use AI to amplify it.
Love it. I love that kind of idea. If you struggle to sell it, like AI probably is not going to come in and do a better job, right? At least at this point. So really good takeaway there, Josh. Giulio, what do you think in terms of What's one thing businesses should focus on before they even think about implementing AI?
Yeah, for our experience during the relationship with customers and project, what we learn is obviously AI can replace the understanding of the process mostly. Because as Josh was saying before, it's really important to, first of all, follow all the steps. So you need to study the market, you need to understand the product, then obviously you need to do the best ads, you need to do the best landing page. And so when you think about AI, there is nothing that can be take place of the understanding about the logic of the funnel, and nothing can replace the strategic process. So in my opinion, this is the key point. And other than that, obviously AI, it helps a lot, because it helps a lot to go deep in the analysis. It helps a lot to do to analyze all the data. But this is the pain point. The most important part is to understand the logic of the funnel. So in this view, with AI, you can accelerate the process, obviously, but you can skip the reasoning of this process. At the end of this, if you don't do this, at the end, AI just do more mistakes, as Josh was saying before. So I think this is the most important point to keep in mind every time.
Josh, coming back to you, agree, disagree? Anything you want to add there with Giulio?
No, I think we're very, very aligned. I'm just answering in the chat right now one of the questions about how AI actually works with marketing. And the couple of key things that people might be interested in is all of the advertising networks, be them Facebook or Google or whoever you use, are moving towards this black box idea that they've got millions of data points about the users. And so they will just push your ads to the right people over a long enough time span. Now, fundamentally, that is 100% true. Here's the rub. If you are giving them the wrong metrics back, for example, you've got a really easy form to fill in. Well, what happens when the wrong people fill in that form? It's just a computer. AI is not a human. It doesn't have that reasoning that we have. It can't go and check that these were real. So it's going to optimize to those wrong people. The other thing we're seeing as a massive top-down movement right now is companies, even big Fortune 500 companies, saying to their team, hey, you can make websites, you can make creative, don't use agencies. You've got AI, it'll do it. Again, awesome in concept, but what happens when it doesn't work? What happens when you don't have experts on the tools who are actually running it and it fails? Where do you go next? And this is the real rub with AI. We get really excited. You remember when everyone got excited about Facebook and every convenience store had a sticker on the front saying, follow us on Facebook for some unknown reason? The same thing's happening now. It's a massive opportunity, but it's a massive opportunity if you have the fundamentals right.
And especially it's important when you need to spend a lot of money. And so in that case, you need to take care about the process. You need to take care about every point. And so you need to take also the right decision. And AI can do this at the moment yet.
I think that's like really, it's an interesting, point there, Julia. Cause like, I think if you look at like we have a client we're managing, probably multiple six figures a month in ad spend. And, is it theoretically possible that they manage that campaign strategy in AI? It's like, well, okay, maybe it is, right? But the second something goes wrong, or a competitor is using the same level of AI tech to create their strategy, so then the strategy kind of fizzles out and like stops working. Like the second that something goes wrong, if you don't have a person that's a strategist or that has that deep advertising experience, that individual that's looking after hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in spend, right, could easily make a mistake that shifts optimization, start getting like some kind of drift, performance drift, right? There can be these things that kind of happen in, Google or Meta's algorithm may or may not have the full context of what's happening in the business that you might have, right? You're obviously not going to just plug Meta into the entire brain of the business and figure out like just access everything, right? Access all of our email, access all of our content. So I think that that's something that I think agencies are still that expert layer. And I don't know, my opinion, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like these tools and these platforms are getting infinitely more complicated. And in my experience, small businesses typically don't deal well with that complication, right? The amount of tools that are available, the type of tactics that you can do, right, have become way more interesting.
And that is by design. They are deliberately trying to take away the driver's seat. And just a couple of examples, super recently, there was an electricity and gas company we audited in Australia. Massive big agency managing them. So you would think that they would have terrific use of tools and people. Their AI was optimizing to when people went to Google and searched for farts. The 10th most amount of money they were spending was people searching for farts. Why? Because the AI thought that gas and electricity had something to do with farting, gas, farts, and it was getting all these signals that it was right, and no human was interjecting. We had another client we audited, again, not only was this being optimized by an agency, they had a Google account manager who was in there helping them. And they were spending money. They're a dating company. They have the word 3 in their name. And so they found their ads, they were spending a heap of money, people searching for where they can get a threesome from. Nothing to do with their product. And again, a normal human being would spot this, but they are deliberately making it more complex. They're deliberately saying, give it to the machines. And the more we trust the machines, without human overview, without those foundations, the more we move towards idiocracy, the movie.
Julia, I'm going to queue up another question for you, man, here. Have you seen examples where AI improved efficiency but failed to improve business results? If so, what went wrong?
Yes, we have this example daily during our business, mostly because in our company, what we do, we take care about the full funnel. So we usually during the project, we create the strategy, then we do, obviously we develop the website, and in most of the case, we also develop the booking engine system, because mostly we take care about advertising for accommodation and tourism industries. And so we follow all the steps. So it happens really often that some new customer came to our agency and with business that doesn't work really well, and they tell us why, what's happening. So we go every single step, and what we see when we analyze this type of case, this type of business, is they at the moment, most of the time, they use AI, and they use AI, as Josh was saying before, for take a lot of decision, but these decisions are not connected together. So if you think about the funnel, everything has to be done perfectly. The right strategy, then you do the right Google ads or other type of ads. The design of the page, of the landing page, is really, really important. You can do this only with AI, because at the end, all the pages are the same, and it's not, you are not sure that this page do real conversion. And then at the end, you have to analyze also the data to check if you get a result or not. So during this process, what we see, using AI step by step or in one single step doesn't bring to good result, because AI in this case fail. But I want to give you a real example just to describe better this scenario. In a case where, because what we check at the moment is that AI could be really good to provide you alerts. So we use AI to check, for example, if a landing page is too slow, to check if, for example, there is some error, also if a CTA doesn't work correctly. So for this case, AI works really well, because this gives you a lot of alerts, and it also gives you a lot of alerts, really automatic alerts, obviously related to the conversion rate that decrease, for example. But in that case, nothing can be done by AI. You need the human to understand deeply what's happening. Just to provide an example, we manage a lot of spa, and we manage a lot of booking engine for spa industry. So In this scenario, a user go there, he land on a website, then he pick the date and buy a ticket to go there. So, for example, what happens if you see something that and decrease the revenue, the daily revenue on that spa? This could be a lot of reason why this happened. So AI can tell you if this website is down, if there is a problem in the booking engine. But if, for example, a competitor, like a competitor similar to you, to your business, just he do a better price than you, or for example, there is a weather condition that afflict about this process. So in this case, if you only use AI to keep your decision and you have not the global overview of the system, you have not the global overview of your competitor, your decision just goes wrong. So what we analyze daily is customer that came to us with no results, but a lot of time these no results became not of because there are problems in one single step of the funnel, but just because they don't analyze the funnel globally and they don't check, for example, the competitor, the pricing, and this stuff. And obviously, for that, AI can be enough. Human and the expertise of, and also the knowledge about the market, because I think if you do this job, it's not possible that you know everything. For example, I am really expert about tourism industry, but I have not this type of expertise about insurance or other topics. So it's also important that type of expertise, in my opinion.
Love it. It's good, good context, and I think it's. I feel like I've used AI in a lot of places where I think it's going to work, and it did not actually deliver on the promise, right? And sometimes it's you have to like try, right? I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that. Is like try it in places. I was telling somebody the other day I felt like AI was like the hand washing stations at the airport, like the touch free. Like it sometimes works, but not always for your needs. Like you put your hands underneath it, it's like sometimes the soap comes out, sometimes it doesn't, right? And sometimes I feel like AI, you try to use it in certain places, and you're like, oh, this works perfectly, and then you like move over to a different use case that you think's gonna work, and then you're like, this doesn't really work quite yet. So it's it kind of feels like that to me. I don't know. This question's for both of you guys, and I feel like this is a timeless question. Maybe it's changed in the age of AI, maybe not. What's more important today, better traffic or better conversion? I feel like somebody just asked me like,
I have very strong feelings on this, but I keep jumping in first. So why don't I pass it over?
What's your take? Quick take on this one. What do you think? Better traffic or better conversion? What do you think, Giulio?
This is a good question, obviously. It's a complicated question because obviously it's important the mix of both. It's really hard to choose one between traffic and conversion. At the end, it's important the result, in my opinion. So just the customer give you money, and what as an output of this process, what you have to give back to the customer is more money that invested. So at the end, in my opinion, is more important conversion, but obviously to get conversion, you need traffic. So in my opinion, what is really important is to understand the model. Because also about this, following our experience in our company, it happens a lot of time that we get new customer, and when they arrive in our company, most of the time with the experience of other companies before, there is not a really clear model. In my opinion, what I'm trying to say, what is model for me? To understand, first of all, the strategy. So to understand your business, you know to understand your market, to understand your product and your customers, obviously. And so this helps you to create a strategy. And creating a strategy, it helps also you to understand the best way to do Google Ads. So if you do this, at the end of this process, what you do, you generate qualified traffic. So this answer to the first question. It's really important to understand your business and create a good strategy to get the best traffic for the less price, because obviously this is our goal. But at the end, also related to conversion, you need to understand what's the goal of your business. Because if we want to keep it simple, just we consider cost per acquisition, cost per conversion, and ROAS. when we look at the business, we find these three type of way to measure the final results. And also we try to set with the customer a value. So decide what type of this final output you need. We set a value, and then when we set the value, we have a benchmark. So this KPI is really clear as a benchmark. And so make possible to measure the whole process, and also to get conversion, and get the conversion that it's the expected result by the customer, because communication is also really important. And all of us, we know it's really important to create really clear objective, and also really clear results, and we have to communicate at the end. So both important, but traffic came with strategy and good Google Ads, and conversion we need to measure really well, and then we need to understand what are the conversion needed for the type of customer. So it's a mix at the end, in my opinion.
Yeah. I see Josh's response in chat. Conversion 100% every day. You can always amplify, but if you can't sell, then your traffic is not important. This ties into our rule, the 3 hard yeses. And I think too, it's interesting because I kind of heard like even saying like it's conversion because you can do traffic later, right? So that's more of a order of importance versus I guess that would answer the question of what's more important today, right? What do we want to actually make sure happens today versus later? Any additional comments on that, Josh?
Yeah, look, we've covered most of it, but too many people nowadays think that traffic means advertising. It doesn't. Any company, small, medium, or large, should be and is talking to people. Everyone goes to a barbecue and talks about their company. And someone's ears prick up and they go, oh, that sounded interesting. Where do they go? They go to your website. We have countless customers that their main stream of traffic, so to speak, is going to conferences. And what we know about the human mind is that we don't make snap decisions until we feel comfortable. So when we're talking about conversion, this is what my book is about, what we're trying to do is understand what are those 9, and science has shown this, 9 questions that our subconscious mind must have answered in order for it to take the next step, whether that's purchase or whether that's inquiry. And so when we're talking about fixing the funnel, we're talking about, did we do a good enough job of concisely answering those 9 questions, which are sending people into fight or flight, making them pump the brakes, and as Google wrote about in a fantastic article I implore you to read called The Messy Middle, drop out of the buying cycle altogether.
I think that's I love that, like the focus on being able to sell a product to somebody face to face is a good kind of litmus test. Like, can you sell this to a human? And maybe that is hard if you're like more of an introvert or you're not really a salesperson, and you might feel more comfortable selling through a web page or a sales funnel. But I think I'm not saying I'm the tiebreaker here, because we got Julio is saying traffic, Josh is saying conversion. But I think my experience, like I think it feels a little chicken or egg, but I think if I had to pick, if I'm like on a desert island, and I got to pick one or the other, I think I'm going to pick conversion. Like I'm going to pick a couple of customers today. I'm going to eat, and that's going to, like, from a very a very fundamental business problem, I'm going to get sales into my business, even if it's not as many sales as I would like. I'd rather have sales than eyeballs. And I think, I've seen some entrepreneurs prioritize eyeballs and, end up, basically building a massive audience for something that nobody wants to buy, or, an audience that doesn't spend money. Now I think the original prompt was quality traffic or better traffic, right? So maybe there's an asterisk there, but I think I'm going to pick conversion. But I think this is definitely a little bit of strategist preference here. All right, we're gonna bring this one. It says to go to Josh on this one. We're gonna go to, actually, I'll go to this question here. Can AI, this is for Julio first, can AI generated customer insights ever replace real conversations with customers? What's your take on that one, Julio? Yes or no on that? Do you think AI generated customer insights can replace real conversations with customers? I think we see this like synthetic personas, synthetic customer research, that kind of stuff.
At the moment, I think no. Maybe in the future, maybe it can happen. But at the moment, in my opinion, nothing can replace the real part. So this is a really straight question. There is an answer in my opinion. There is there is there is nothing to add on that. So
Yeah,
I go
I mean,
straight.
it's like like focus groups, right? I mean, businesses have been running focus groups all the time, and focus groups fail all the time, right? Because it's not a real environment, like it's not real money, it's not real like decisions that people are having to make. But I think synthetic customer, I think it can be helpful, it can be a data point, but I think the real thing is usually better. What do you think, Josh?
If we're starting from scratch, then you're 100% right. However, we've got one client called VUCA Group. They're the biggest conference business in South Africa, and they are doing something incredibly clever right now. Every one of their salespeople, every single call must go through a recorded meeting system, which dumps all of those conversations into a central AI database. And why this is critical is because what AI does really well is it concisely refines information into insights. Now that's when it's not guessing. That's when it's telling you, hey, from the last 10,000 conversations our huge sales team took, these are the key points and this is what we need to address. That is a massive opportunity.
I definitely think like transcript analysis and also transcript analysis at scale to see those kind of patterns that are showing up, talk patterns, questioning patterns. I think that's certainly super valuable. One thing that I always find interesting as somebody who's done a lot of sales and coached a lot of salespeople is, AI inherently relies on a transcript, and there's I think something only like 16% of human communication is verbal. And so if you like put those two together, right? AI is telling you this is what's going on with the situation. And at the same time, we know that only 16% of communication between two human beings is verbal. And that stat, I don't know, maybe it's 18, maybe it's 20, but it's actually less than 50% of what is being communicated happens through the actual words that are being said. There's the words that are not being said. There's how the words are being said. There's how often the words are being said, in what context the words are being said. A person's individual history with those words, which we have no idea on a call what their history with those words are. And so you could have somebody, I don't know if you guys know, like there's kind of this there's all these like bro vibe salespeople, right? And sometimes their transcript could look perfect, right? But they're not closing because something about their presence to a person that they're selling like throws them off, right? Or it could be, some other personality type. So I found it like fascinating. Like I think this is just like me, my personal venting on this, but like I feel like we're over indexing on transcripts and AI's ability to analyze like what's being said in a lot of situations in our businesses. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or have seen that show up in your businesses at all.
Honestly, the answer is context. It's like anything. We can talk from the top line, but it's the nuance. The devil is in the detail.
Yeah. All right, this question is coming to both of you. What is one conversion mistake you see repeatedly across different industries?
Single biggest mistake, and we've studied this. We've compiled all of the mistakes and the changes we've made over the last 15 years of A/B testing. The single biggest mistake, bar none, is asking for too much commitment too soon. And I'll give you a brilliant example. I go to any technology website you like, particularly if they're a B2B SaaS system, and I guarantee the call to action will be something like talk to us or inquire. Now, psychologically, why this doesn't work is because humans want to feel comfortable. They want to feel safe. Their subconscious will go into fight or flight if it does not know exactly what's going to happen. Just think about the last time someone invited you to someone else's barbecue. Why did you instantly feel a sense of like, oh, I don't want to go, or I don't know if I should? Well, it's easy. You don't know who's going to be there. You don't know if they're going to, I don't know, maybe you're a vegetarian. You don't know if you'll feel weird. You don't know where they live. There's a million other what ifs. So when we do the same thing on a landing page, when we ask for, hey, just speak to our sales team, that is scary as all get up. I don't want to be cornered into a conversation where someone's going to sell to me. What we've shown, again, through testing, is if you can give context to why people should inquire and tell them what will happen in that process, you see a 40 to 60% uplift, even if you change nothing else.
That's yeah. So making it more of a natural progression to a conversation versus like right to the like, you know, book a call with me today kind of thing.
Yeah, we have a company called Ethisphere. They consult ethics and compliance to the Fortune 500 companies. So this is an incredibly difficult client with very complex purchase cycle to get to the next step. And what they were saying was, hey, come and speak to our sales team about how we can help you with ethics and compliance. Why on earth would anyone do that? Let's just apply the common sense lens to it. Now, the same sales process, what we did, and you can check this out on their website. I'll put how you spell it into the chat. If you then look at what the offer is in the header, in the hero, it is get your free dashboard and what's in the dashboard. Two very clear call to actions. And when you go down to that, it gives you context of what will happen on the phone call. What are you actually going to get? This removes that fear. And what has happened? Well, they've had a 411% increase in inquiries from Fortune 500 companies. And that 411% has been made up of 100% high value leads. And all of the people who weren't the right customers have dropped out of the mix.
Julia, we're going to go back to you on this one. What's one conversion mistake you see repeatedly across different industries? We heard from Josh just about going a little too hard too soon with the book a call with the salesperson, deliver something of value. What's one mistake you think they make?
I go for budget. I mean, I try to just describe what I'm about that. So in most of the case, think about tourism industry. So it's easy to understand. So you are an hotel, an accommodation, and you sell your room in booking.com. So if you sell your room in booking.com, at the end, every time that you sell a room, you pay 20%. Here in Italy, maybe in some places less, in other places more, but make an average, 20%. So what I see a lot of time is the customer, they don't understand the budget that they have to invest. Because if you came to go to an agency and ask an agency, please do a strategy for me and develop a website and try to sell my rooms directly without OTAs and other travel agency, what you have to be clear, what has to be clear for you is the budget. Because in this case, it's really easy to understand what's your ROAS. Because your ROAS is 5. Because if you sell with a ROAS more than 5, then every time that you sell something, it costs less than the percentage that Booking.com charged to you. And then at the end, you also have all the data about your customer. So in my opinion, what is really important in every project is to understand the model, the KPI, what type of KPI we have to measure. In this case, the ROAS is the best one, but also use this data to understand what's the best budget that you need to spend. Because at the end, what happens? If you spend less, maybe you don't sell some room. But if you don't sell some room, you lose an earning forever, because a room is not like a product that you can sell tomorrow for another time. So you have to sell now. If you don't sell now, you can go back in the past and sell a room again. So in this case, but this is, I just wanted to do a specific case, but I think it happens really often and it's really common to understand KPI, understand the business, but also to understand what is the good budget, the really best value of the budget that you have to invest to get your result, and the best result, obviously. And not all the time this is done. So it's the biggest mistake. And it's also complicated to discuss with customer, to tell them how to choose the the budget.
Yeah, right. Like what's the budget? The budget that's going to get us the best ROI, right? Like what's that magic number, right? Sometimes it takes some experimenting or making some bets as I kind of think about that. Josh, I know we've got you we're holding you back from Canada Day. I can tell you're ready to go and enjoy the rest of your day. Before you leave though and close out, I'd love to hear from you. If people can remember only one thing from this session, what's your take on that? What should it be?
All right, I'm looking forward to going across the road. We're going to the baseball today, so we're going to watch Vladdy hit some dingers on Canada Day. But if there's one thing you take away from this, it's audit what you are doing and see if it makes sense. And I want to delve into what I was talking about with the conversion process just a little more. So, in fact, I'll put into the chat. I can strongly recommend you download my ebook at the J Marketing website. It's free. What I did was put down the 9 frictions, this is what science has shown, the 9 questions our subconscious mind looks for whenever it's making any purchase decision beyond a stick of gum at the supermarket. And they're simple questions. They're things like, will this solution really solve my problem? Do companies like me buy this product? In long story short, am I going to get screwed if I buy this? So my one takeaway, whether you're an accommodation business, whether you are a SaaS system, whatever it is, audit, when you land on your website, look at the headline. Does it solve your problem? Does it solve the customer's problem? And does the rest of the website then solve those 9 frictions of resistance? Because if you don't, stop spending advertising right this second. And I've done this with countless companies around the world, whether their budget was $1,000 or $1 million a month. Stop advertising. You are throwing cash away. Save it, fix that funnel, and then go. I can't use that Australian expression. Foot to the floor.
What was the Australian expression?
Oh, I definitely can't say that out loud. That
okay. I was like,
we know how to swear better than anyone else.
Maybe that we weren't going to get it, but now I understand. You want to keep it above board today, so appreciate that. All right, love that takeaway from today. You've got the ebook in the chat, so you guys heard it from Josh. I think somebody asked what your ebook, what it was titled. If you could throw that in chat, that'd be great. Julio, attendees can remember only one thing from this session. What do you think it's going to be?
Just to keep this simple, in my opinion, if I had to just give one suggestion, use AI only inside clear process. Because if you use AI in a process that is not clear to you, at the end, AI just make your mistake bigger. And so just keep it simple. Understand the process, understand the market, understand the product. Then obviously you have to design the best funnel. Everything has to work really well. Then you have to collect that, analyze that, and keep decision. In every steps, AI can help you a lot, but nothing can be part of the process if you have not understood globally everything. So use AI only inside clear process. This is easy suggestion, but you never do mistake, in my opinion.
Well said, Julio. Folks, let's give Amazing Agency Advantage round of applause for Julio and Josh for hanging out with us, taking times out of their busy and demanding schedules. I know I took away a lot of nuggets today. I wrote down a couple of things. I love the clues, the tactics, Josh, on the instead of book a call, move towards some kind of resource as a presentation. Also, some of the stuff on budget today. My wheels are turning. I've got multiple to-dos on my list now. You guys gave me homework. I hope our attendees today have a couple of takeaways that they're going to go implement in their business. Find that one idea from a session like this and take action on it as soon as you can. So again, Julio and Josh, thanks for hanging out. Josh, have a fantastic Canada Day. Julio, I think it's maybe evening time for you, so yes, maybe you're going to go and. Yeah. You're gonna
go to watch World Cup now a little bit.
All right, get some World Cup in. So very cool. All right, well, good to hang out with you, gents, and that is our session That concludes our panel. Next up, we've got our prizes, our winners. We're going to be announcing the big reveal, our winner's circle. So I'm going to pop backstage for like 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. We're going to come back and we're going to conclude the Cloudways Agency Advantage Summit, and we're gonna announce those winners. So if you've been wondering, did you get a prize today? Fret not. You will get that answer in just a few moments. So stick with us. We will be right back.